They said he wasn't good enough. They pulled him from the biggest game of his college career, in front of millions of people, on national television, and handed his position to someone else like he was already forgotten. Most players would have crumbled. Most people would have. But Jalen Hurts did something that almost nobody in the history of football has ever done. He came back, not just to survive, but to completely rewrite the story. And what happened next is one of the most jaw-dropping redemption arcs the NFL has ever seen. Stay with me, because this one is going to hit different. Jalen Alexander Hurts was born on August 7, 1998, in Houston, Texas. He grew up in a football family. His father, Havarian Hurts, was a high school football coach, and from the time Jalen could hold a ball, the game was in his blood. According to reporting from ESPN, Jalen was always described by those around him as unusually mature, unusually focused, and almost disturbingly calm under pressure. His father instilled in him a work ethic that bordered on obsessive. Early mornings, late nights, film sessions that most kids his age would never sit through. By the time Jalen reached Channelview High School in Texas, it was already obvious that this was not an ordinary player. He threw for over 4,000 yards in his senior season alone and was ranked as one of the top dual-threat quarterbacks in the entire country, as documented by 247 sports recruiting records. The offers flooded in. He chose the University of Alabama. And at Alabama, Jalen Hurts did not disappoint. As a true freshman in 2016, he stepped into one of the most pressure-packed programs in all of college football under head coach Nick Saban, a man who has built more NFL players than some entire conferences, and he started. Not just started, he led Alabama to the national championship game. According to official NCAA records, Hurts completed 63.6% of his passes that season, threw for 2,780 yards, added 13 rushing touchdowns, and won the SEC Offensive Player of the Year award. As a freshman, he was 19 years old and already looked like the most mentally tough quarterback in the country. Then came the 2017 season. And with it, the moment that would define Jalen Hurts in a way that no statistic ever could. Alabama was playing Georgia in the College Football Playoff National Championship on January 8, 2018. It was the second half. Alabama was down. The offense was sputtering. And Nick Saban, one of the most calculating, cold-blooded coaches in the history of the sport, made a decision that shocked the entire college football world. He pulled Jalen Hurts. He put in a freshman backup named Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa came in and threw for 166 yards and 3 touchdowns in the second half. Alabama won. It was one of the greatest halftime adjustments in championship history, as covered extensively by outlets including Sports Illustrated and Bleacher Report. And Jalen Hurts stood on that sideline in front of 80,000 people and watched someone else finish the game he had started. Think about that. You are 19 years old. You have given everything you have to this program. And in the most important moment of the season, the coach benches you. On national television, in the national championship game. That is the kind of moment that ends careers. That reshapes identities. That breaks people. And here is where Jalen Hurts showed the football world exactly who he was. He did not complain. He did not go to the media and create a story. According to reports from The Athletic and ESPN, Hurts went back to work the very next day. He supported Tagovailoa publicly. He showed up to every practice. He competed. He stayed. In 2018, Tagovailoa won the starting job for Alabama, and Hurts accepted the role of backup without a single public word of bitterness. When Tagovailoa went down injured during the SEC championship game in December 2018, Hurts came off the bench cold and led Alabama to a comeback victory. That performance was cited by analysts across CBS Sports and NFL Network as one of the most emotionally extraordinary moments in college football history, a player coming off the bench to save the program that had benched him. If you are new here and this kind of deep dive storytelling is what you love, make sure you subscribe to the Inventor realm right now so you never miss an episode like this. After that SEC championship performance, Hurts made one of the hardest decisions a college football player can make. He transferred. He went to the University of Oklahoma to play for head coach Lincoln Riley, who at the time was already known as one of the most quarterback-friendly offensive minds in the country. And at Oklahoma in 2019, Jalen Hurts transformed. According to official Big 12 conference statistics, he threw for 3,851 yards, rushed for 1,298 yards, and accounted for 54 total touchdowns. He finished second in Heisman Trophy voting. He had gone from being benched in a national championship game to becoming one of the most dynamic offensive players in all of college football in a single season. The NFL was watching. In the 2020 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles selected Jalen Hurts in the second round with the 53rd overall pick. There were questions immediately. The Eagles already had Carson Wentz as their starter, a quarterback who had signed a massive extension and was seen as the long-term foundation of the franchise. Hurts was expected to be a backup, a developmental piece, maybe a gadget player at best. Analysts on ESPN and NFL Network debated whether his mechanics were clean enough, whether his arm was strong enough, whether he could run a true NFL offense. Some draft evaluators publicly questioned if he would ever start at the NFL level. Then came 2020. Carson Wentz had one of the worst seasons of his career. The Eagles were in a tailspin. Late in the season, head coach Doug Peterson made the decision to bench Wentz and start Hurts. Sound familiar? The player who had been benched was now being handed the job of someone else who had been benched. And in his first NFL start against the New Orleans Saints on December 13, 2020, a game documented by Pro Football Reference, Hurts threw for 167 yards, rushed for 106 yards, and showed a dimension of playmaking that the Eagles' offense had not seen all season. The Eagles went all in on Hurts heading into 2021. They traded Carson Wentz. They made Jalen Hurts their starter. And the process of building one of the most unique offensive systems in the entire NFL around his specific skill set began. Under new head coach Nick Sirianni and offensive coordinator Shane Steichen, the Eagles began designing an offense that leaned into Hurts' ability to extend plays, to run when defenses gave him lanes, and to make decisions quickly in a spread-style system that had not been commonly seen at the NFL level. According to data compiled by Pro Football Reference and next-gen stats from NFL.com, Hurts in 2021 threw for 3,144 yards with 16 touchdown passes and added 784 rushing yards with 10 rushing touchdowns. A rare dual-threat combination that put him among the most versatile quarterbacks in the league that season. But 2022 was when the world finally had to stop and stare. The Philadelphia Eagles in 2022 were one of the most dominant teams the NFL had seen in years. Their offensive line, ranked by Pro Football Focus as one of the best in football, gave Hurts time and space to operate. Wide receivers A.J. Brown, acquired in a draft night trade from Tennessee, and Devonta Smith gave him to legitimate weapons on the outside, and Hurts himself played at a level that silenced every single critic who had ever doubted him. According to official NFL statistics published by the league and tracked by Pro Football Reference, Hurts threw for 3,701 yards. He completed 66.5% of his passes. He threw 22 touchdown passes against just 6 interceptions. He rushed for 760 yards with 13 rushing touchdowns. His total of 35 touchdowns accounted for was among the highest in the league. He finished second in NFL MVP voting. He led Philadelphia to a 14-3 regular season record and all the way to Super Bowl 57. The Eagles lost that Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs in a heartbreaking finish, 38-35, in a game that came down to the final 2 minutes. Hurts himself put up one of the most statistically impressive Super Bowl performances by a losing quarterback in recent memory. He accounted for 300 for passing yards. He added 70 rushing yards. He scored 3 total touchdowns. According to official NFL game records, it was one of the greatest individual performances ever seen in a Super Bowl loss. The loss hurt, but nobody watching that night could deny what they were seeing. The kid who had been benched at 19 was now one of the best quarterbacks in professional football. The Eagles rewarded him accordingly. In April 2023, the Philadelphia Eagles signed Jalen Hurts to a contract extension that made him one of the highest-paid players in NFL history at that time, 5 years, $255 million, with $179.3 million guaranteed. As reported by ESPN and confirmed by NFL Network's Ian Rapoport, it was a statement not just from the Eagles organization, but from the entire league. Jalen Hurts had earned every dollar of it. What makes this story so extraordinary is not just the results. It is the way Hurts has talked about the journey. In interviews with ESPN and the Players Tribune, Hurts has consistently referenced the Alabama benching not as a wound, but as a turning point. He has said that the experience taught him something that no amount of success could have taught him. That your response to adversity is the only thing you truly control. That philosophy has become the foundation of how he leads. Eagles players, in interviews with The Athletic and NJ.com, have repeatedly described Hurts as the most even-keeled, accountable quarterback they have ever played with. When Philadelphia struggles, he does not point outward. He looks at what he could have done better. That mentality, more than any arm talent or rushing ability, may be the most dangerous weapon he possesses. Make sure you subscribe to the Inventor Realm and turn on notifications because we go this deep on every story we cover. And you do not want to be the last one to find out when the next one drops. As of the 2023 and 2024 seasons, Hurts has continued to be one of the central figures in the NFC. He has led Philadelphia through the regular season and into playoff contention year after year. The Eagles have built their entire identity around his versatility, his leadership, and his ability to make defenses pay in ways that no quarterback archetype before him quite captured. Defensive coordinators around the NFL have spoken openly to media outlets including the MMQB and The Athletic about how uniquely difficult it is to prepare for what Hurts does, because stopping his arm means his legs beat you, and stopping his legs means his arm beats you. He is a problem that modern defenses were not originally designed to solve. The NFL has seen comeback stories before. It has seen players overcome injuries, scandals, and personal tragedy, but very few stories look like this one. Very few players have been publicly humiliated on the biggest stage in their sport, chosen to stay, watched someone else win the job they built, and then responded by becoming one of the faces of the entire league. Jalen Hurts did not just bounce back, he rewrote what bouncing back looks like. And the crazy thing, the thing that should keep every defensive coordinator in the league awake at night, is that based on his trajectory, based on his work ethic, based on everything everyone around him has ever said about how hard he pushes himself in the building every single offseason, there is a very strong argument that the best football of Jalen Hurts' career has not been played yet. They benched him. They handed his position to someone else. They made him watch from the sideline in the biggest moment of his young life. And Jalen Hurts looked at all of that, absorbed it, and quietly turned it into fuel for one of the greatest redemption arcs professional football has ever witnessed. That is not a football story. That is a lesson. And the NFL is still learning it.